Okay guys, I was lucky enough to live in Tokyo, Japan for 5 years, and despite a couple of the things that I've put out on this channel before, it was literally a truly life-changing experience for me. During that time, I trained at a wide variety of gyms across the city. So in this video, I'm going to share what I learned during my time training at gyms in Japan. So first things first, guys, gyms in Japan are extremely clean, and it's not because they hire lots of cleaning staff to come in and stay on top of things, on top of people throughout the day. It's more of a societal thing. So one of the things that I learned when I first came out to Asia was about Confucianism, and that is kind of a set of beliefs, a set of teachings that people follow, particularly here in Asia. One of the values that they follow is to put the society before yourself, to look out for each other, to take care of each other. And that can be seen throughout Japanese society. Not in terms of in the gyms, which is what we're talking about. That means that when you finish on a bench or a piece of equipment, you don't just walk away and leave a big sweaty patch there. You grab yourself some spray, you wipe it down, you make it clean so that it's ready for the next person. Believe me guys, if you are coming to Japan and you are going to train in the gyms in Japan, you are not going to see dirty equipment, you're not going to see sweaty equipment. Not putting your dumbbells back or not re-racking your weights is completely unheard of. Following on from that, as well as that hygienic consideration, people also generally just don't want to bother each other when they're working out. In fact, again, in many aspects of Japanese society, people do not want to bother each other, and that can lead to some very, very quiet gyms. Now, this can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. So when I was training in Japan at daft o'clock in the morning, I used to just enjoy going in there. There'd be the same few faces every morning. I'd give them a little nod, a little good morning hello. Then I'd put my music in and we'd all pretty much just get on with our workouts, which, you know, when you come into the gym at 4 or 5 in the morning anyway, you don't really go in there to be socializing, to be bothered. You want to get in, you want to get your shit done, and you want to get out. That way, it was very, very good. Sometimes you want a little bit more atmosphere in the gym. You want to be surrounded by like-minded people, a little bit of grunting. When you are in a quiet gym, but you are trying to push yourself personally, you kind of become conscious of the fact that eyes are going to be on you when you do grunt a little bit, or when you reach failure and those weights come down a little heavier than usual. You're kind of aware that all eyes or all side eyes are going to be on you, especially considering Japan is such a homogenous society where usually you're probably going to be the only foreigner in the gym. You know, you, maybe one other foreigner, but it's not a big mixed bag. You're going to stand out already. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going down that path. What I'm saying is, when you already sort of stand out and people notice you, you don't want to really be drawing extra attention onto yourself. So you become a little bit self-conscious in certain situations. Finally on this one, guys, Japanese people, and you can ask anyone who's spent a prolonged period of time in Japan, you can ask anyone this. Japanese people are extremely polite. There is kind of this accepted level of politeness that, again, threads through the entire society. Now, some people question whether it's fake or not, and of course, in some instances, I would imagine it is fake. Not everyone can be that polite all the time. Me personally, I don't care. Now, I'm about to talk about tattoos in a minute, but when I'm in my tattoo-friendly gym, I am aware that tattoos in Japan carry a certain stigma. Because I'm not breaking the rules, because I'm not doing anything wrong, I know that I'm not going to get bothered by it, because even if people don't particularly like tattoos, if they don't agree with them, nobody's going to come and be rude to my face, because that's just not the way they behave. In that regard, it doesn't matter whether it's fake politeness or genuine politeness, because all I'm experiencing is politeness. If you compare that to some of the experience I've had with Western people in Western gyms, not all Western people obviously, but certainly far more than I've ever experienced in Asia, where if you ask someone like, have you finished with this machine, mate? They give you a dirty look, they seem to be offended. But the other day, I was in the gym here in Bangkok. European guy sat behind me. I can see that he's waiting to use this machine. It's absolutely fine. Finish my set, I spray it down and there's no tissue nearby. So I quickly nip over to the area where they keep the tissue, and before I've returned, he sat in the sprayed down section that I just created, that he's just watched me create. So I said to him, oh, sorry, mate, I'll wipe that down for you. He was fucking furious at me. I don't know why. It was very, very hot. So maybe he was happy just to have a little bit of cool wetness up against his ass, but he was so fucking hostile, and I've never experienced that in Japan. So in that regard, I'd rather be in a gym full of Japanese people all day. But let's get on to the big one. I've just mentioned tattoos. Rules. These gyms have a lot of rules. I feel like every gym in the world has rules, but the way you enforce those rules, whether you do it respectfully, whether you do it politely, or whether you treat people like they're in a concentration camp, that is the difference to me. Some of you might have seen my channel before, and you might know that I did have one particular incident which I really didn't appreciate. I did a video about it, and some people got where I was coming from. Some people got a little bit offended by what I was saying. You can go watch the video now. I'm not going to dwell on that specifically here. What I will say is this. Tattoo gimmick, such an old-fashioned way of thinking. I think any young person will tell you that. Lots of young people in Japan have tattoos themselves, so it's very much pandering to that old school way of thinking. But there are plenty of gyms throughout Tokyo, throughout Japan. There are lots of gyms that do allow tattoos. So in that regard, I would just say, if you do have excessive amounts of tattoos that are going to be difficult to cover up, just do a bit of research and hopefully you should be fine. Other than that, I would say this. I think anyone who's planning to relocate completely to any other country has to respect that it's a different culture and things are going to work differently there. And again, Confucianism, the needs of the group are going to be respected and prioritized over your own personal needs. If someone makes a complaint about you, let's say someone says you are taking too long on a piece of equipment, or you are looking at your phone too much between sets. If someone goes to the effort of complaining about you, you are going to be the one that they address. They're not going to see anything from your perspective. They are going to expect you to do something about that. Now, to me, that's fine. It's how the gym or how the management go about it that determines whether I have a good experience at that gym or a bad experience at that gym. So one of my first gyms in Japan, Anytime Fitness near my house, the manager, Mr. Yamada, he was a very nice guy, always spoke to me, always very friendly, spoke some good English. I tried to speak a little bit of Japanese to him. I've got my tattoos, I would wear long sleeves. Now, on some hot days, I would train early in the morning. I would be up there, he would be arriving, maybe I'd roll my sleeves up a little bit like so. He came up to me one day and he said, listen, Bobby, I'm not trying to be rude. I like your tattoos. They always say they like my tattoos. I don't believe any of them. I like your tattoos, but I know the gym's empty. I know you usually keep your sleeves down, but would you mind even putting them down now? Because sometimes my boss watches the CCTV to check everything's going okay, and if he sees it, he will call me out. I don't know if that was necessarily true or not. I don't know if his boss actually does say, like, show me the CCTV footage now, I need to check everything. But because he was respectful and because he was polite to me, I was respectful to him, and I was like, yeah, all right, no problem, I understand, and I just rolled my sleeves back down. If they are disrespectful and unprofessional, on the other hand, you have to remember that you are a paying customer, regardless of whether you're a guest in the country. It's not just about foreigners or anything, this. It's just about the fact that you're a paying customer, and if they are disrespectful to you in the way that they handle that, you have to consider to yourself, do you want to continue to attend that gym or not? Or is something that should be handled differently? I guess my biggest overall piece of advice regarding this specific topic, and I said this in my last video, and people were like, they can sue you, they can sue you. Can't sue me for recommending that you Google the place that you're looking into. Google whatever gym you're looking into, check the Google reviews, etc. If you see any red flags, especially in a country like Japan where people don't just go out complaining about everything, if you see red flags about that gym, that means there's probably something there, and I would reconsider if I were you. Okay, number 4, whilst you are Googling that for the red flags, I would also look in detail at the gyms that are available in the areas that you are considering living. Now, to 90% of people, I know this won't matter. This is for the more serious gym goers like myself. There's a Japanese word called shotengai, which means shopping street. I learned that from the Life Where I'm From YouTube channel. Great YouTube channel on life in Japan, I recommend it. Basically, in that shopping street, which are usually concentrated around major stations that you may be looking to live in, they should have everything to meet your daily needs, whether it be pharmacies, convenience stores, supermarkets, and nowadays there will always be some gyms there. And if you are a sort of newbie to the gym, you're looking to maybe just go, 2 times a week, you want to walk on the treadmill, you want to use some basic machines, they will do the job for you, no problem. If you're a little bit more serious, like myself, you're going to want to look into the specific gyms that are going to be where you plan to live. And here's why. Generally, around those stations, you're going to end up in one of these franchise gyms, whether it be Anytime Fitness, Fast Fitness, Joy Fit. You're going to be paying about 7,000 to 8,000, and the deal is that you can use all of the gyms nationwide, and that's great. Problem is, these gyms, these franchises, these branches vary in quality dramatically. So some of them, like for example, Mr. Yamada's Anytime Fitness Ochiai Minami Nagasaki, great gym, lots of equipment, hammer strength machines, dumbbells up to a heavy weight, wide range of equipment, excessive amounts of cardio equipment, absolutely perfect. I was lucky because that gym specifically opened about 6 months after I actually moved into my house. So I moved in there already, and then suddenly a great gym just opened up like 5 minutes walk from my house. However, some of those gyms, some of those franchise gyms, they're just box ticking exercises. 1 squat rack, check. 1 bench, check. 1 set of dumbbells that max out at 25 kilograms, check. 3 treadmills, check, etc, etc, etc. You can see where the problem lies, especially in a place like Tokyo, Japan, where the population is so dense. That means you could be going in there peak time. It could be an absolute sausage fest, fighting for 1 piece of equipment at a time. They start introducing time limits, start feeling uncomfortable because you're blocking someone else. It's just not a nice atmosphere to train in. Now, of course, you could travel and go to the better, well-equipped branches. That's fine. For me, for example, when I was in Anytime Fitness, I liked to go to the Meguro branch to train with my friend Cassie. And for me, that was about a 600-700 yen round trip. Now, if I do that twice a week, it's nearly 1,400 yen. If I do that every single week in a month, that's 5,000 to 6,000 yen extra on top of your gym membership, plus all the extra time you're going to waste traveling. It's just not worth it, especially considering if you come into Japan to work, pretty much all Japanese companies are going to pay for your travel expenses from wherever you live to your job. That's not going to make much difference, so you might as well locate yourself somewhere where you've got a decent gym on your doorstep. Okay, let's wrap this one up on a little bit of a philosophical note, my friends, because I am a trainer by trade, by heart. It's my calling to train people, to help them become the best version of themselves. I understand why you're searching for this topic, especially if you move into Japan. When I moved to Japan, I searched for this topic too. Or maybe it just came up on your recommendations list and you're going to comment below like, I watched this video because it came up in my recommendations list. Okay, cheers. I appreciate the view. Regardless of the good things about gyms in Japan or the bad, a gym is a gym. I always view you as a blank canvas, and the gym are your tools, your paintbrushes, your watercolors, whatever it is you like doing. You're only going to get out of the gym what you put in. If you're a gym veteran, if you've been going to the gym for years, if you've got a little bit of a checklist in your mind of what you need out of the gym, completely understand. I'm exactly the same. In that case, take into account all the things I've said. If you're a newbie, one of those people who's moving to Asia to completely reinvent themselves, just like I was 10 years ago, you've decided that fitness, being fit, getting jacked, getting lean is going to be part of the new you, then good luck. Don't think that just because you're training in Japan and you're eating a lot of sushi, suddenly you're going to look like one of those sick anime characters, absolutely shredded to the bone, because it don't work like that. Nobody in Japan looks like that. Having said that, despite a few issues, and there definitely are a few issues, it was my time living in Japan that my physique reached its absolute pinnacle. Best workouts of my life, best condition I've ever been in, most jacked, most shredded, most sexy. Can't deny it, cannot deny it. I've taken that forward now that I'm living in Thailand, and I'm getting even more jacked, even more shredded, even more sexy. But Japan was the foundation for it. So for that, I say, arigatou gozaimasu. Oh, and one more thing, guys. Japanese convenience stores, I'm sure you've searched for them if you move into Japan because it's such a gimmick online. They are going absolutely absolutely mental with the protein products later. So rest assured, if you go to Japan, if you get yourself in that gym, if you get yourself a good workout in, you can go straight to the konbini afterwards and treat yourself to an absolutely gorgeous snack. Thank you for watching as always, my friends. Like, comment, subscribe to support the channel. Appreciate your viewership, and until the next one, sayonara.